What's up, guys? It's Jam1 from Jam1TC coming at you guys with another totally awesome video. And today, a jamming deck regional profile from none other than James Thomas himself, the guy who has been doing so well with Cyber Dragons. How are you doing today, James?
Good, all things considered.
For sure, yeah. And guys, by the way, this video is going to be a little bit late because this is his profile that he won before all the things happen with how the state of the game is right now. But it's all good because this deck is still pretty powerful. So I'll let you tell everybody, what did you do, how did you do it, and what were you doing it with?
Well, I decided to compete at the OTS Championship on March 7th in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. It was not planned. I was originally supposed to compete at YCS Vegas, but plans fell through, and I did all that play testing. I figured, you know what, I may as well just go to some event and not let my play testing go to waste. So once again, I ran Cyber Dragons, and you'll notice that the build is significantly different compared to what I topped with back in November.
Yeah, guys, and as you guys see, like, this is a prime example of what I mentioned before. Just stick with your deck that you're really comfortable with and you can do really well in this game. Cyber Dragon is kind of what you would say maybe a rogue tier, like lower tier deck. However, James has been having a lot of success with the deck. In the last, if you guys seen the last video, he topped 4 at a regional with it, and he did it again. So go ahead and break down to us your strategy and the ratios and everything, James.
My plan going to this event was simple. I wanted to counteract the meta, and the meta back in like March, was Luminant Lights. We had Salamangreat still as a threat, and we had just a bunch of decks that relied on the graveyard. So that's where my main deck DD Crows came in. I actually decided to main deck these over Ash Blossoms. The only 2 decks that really DD Crow wouldn't be strong against were Altergeist and Guru, and they can do something to Altergeist, I guess. You can like DD Crow the Marionetter target or the Manifestation target, but chances are the Altergeist player is going to have a protocol on the field anyway, so you're probably losing at that point.
Facts.
And they can't really do anything against Guru. They also can't do much against Pendulum from what I've tested, but DD Crow did put a lot of work in against the other meta, like Luna Lights, I believe Rockets would be like DD Crow to Destrudo, Salamangreat again, Sky Striker, which wasn't really supposed to be anticipated, but it did.
Yeah, there were still some people trying to make it work with, even though like the ban happened and they lost their engages. I've seen a lot of people, even in my locals, still making it work with the new one, because we got, what's her name, Rose, right?
Right, the level 4, I believe special summons itself.
Yeah, it does similar to Ray, but like different. It's like when they link summon, then they summon like it from graveyard or hand or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but it gives them like 2 bodies on the field. So I've seen a lot of control variants using it. But yeah, so even though you weren't anticipating it, it was still running around a little bit, honestly.
I also stuck to the Gammas because I wanted to be proactive with my hand traps. I wanted to actually stop the problem. Gamma, in effect, acts like a combination of Ghost Silver and Veiler in the sense that it destroys and it also negates the effect. Whereas if you just use Effect Veiler, you negate the monster's effect, but they stay on the field to be linked off or used for some other cause. And Ogre does destroy the monster, but their effects still go through. So at the risk of breaking with Driver, which has happened to me in the past at the regional in Denver, although I'm going to say that I actually didn't open with Driver at all this event.
Nice. That's always good. You don't want to draw your garnets.
I took the risk and kept the main deck Gammas in. And as I mentioned in the previous video, Lambda is there to also counteract Nibiru. Because if you get your Swarm out and you go into Lambda and you try Nibiru, you just flash Gamma and that kind of ruins their plan.
Right.
This also works. Lambda also works in effect because it works in a turn 1 board. Like you can get Lambda plus Infinity plus potentially Overflow turn 1, which I will go into later during my matchups because that actually did happen today at that event.
For sure. Okay, so go ahead and run through like every card by card right now. Just starting with the Cyber Dragons. So 3 of, right?
Triple Cyber Dragon. I mean, it's standard. We're playing machine dupe, so we can machine dupe the core, the Hertz, or the Natsters because they all count as regular old Cyber Dragon ball face up on the field. I do notice that some people have been tinkering with the idea of cutting Cyber Dragon down to 1 and axing the machine dupes and just going with more extenders or hand traps, and that's very well fine. But machine dupe is a power card, and it's pretty much a win button. If you resolve machine dupe, you should be able to win that turn.
For sure, yeah. I wonder why they haven't limited that card yet.
I am thankful that the card did not get hit because of spirals. I'm glad that Konami actually did the right thing and hit spirals the way they did back then and left the machine dupe alone. Triple core is your go-to normal summon. It's pretty standard. You normal summon, you add a Cyber Spell or Trek card from your deck to your hand. It can be like Emergency, Repair Plant, Cyberload Fusion, Cybernetic Overflow, Cyber Network, I guess. I don't play that, but if you're playing that, then you can search that out. I mean,
nice.
Also has a bonus effect that while in the graveyard, if you control no monsters and your opponent does, you can banish it to special summon any Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to the field. So, and then we have triple Cyber Dragon Hurts. It's a good in combination with Galaxy Soldier. Like, if it's sent to the graveyard by any means, you can add a Cyber Dragon from your deck or graveyard to your hands. So you would pitch it with Galaxy Soldier, and you can form your chain links. Like Chain Link 1, Galaxy Soldier to search itself. Chain Link 2, Cyber Dragon Hurts to search out a Cyber Dragon. Or you can do it in the reverse, depending on what you want to prevent from being ashed.
Nice. To infinity and beyond.
Veer is primarily there for chain blocking. It's another level to give overflow ammo. I'm not sure if Europe has chain blocking. I know Japan doesn't, the OCG doesn't, but at least here in North America, you can form your chain links. Cyber Dragon Core's effect will activate on normal summon to surge, and Veer's effect will trigger when it gets normal summon, so you can do Chain Link 1 Core, Chain Link 2 Veer, and they can't ash your core.
Nice.
I know some people make the argument, well, wouldn't you rather have your core ashed than your machine dupe? And if I have a machine dupe and core in hand, I'm going to actually let the core have its effect actually without Veer interrupting. I'm just going to save Veer for a later play so I can beat out the ash. But if I don't have the Veer in hand, or if I don't have machine dupe in hand, I'll just go Chain Link 1 Core, Chain Link 2 Veer, and prevent core from being ashed.
Nice.
3 Naster. This is your second go-to normal summon. Like, if you're not normal summoning core and you're going to normal summon, this is probably the next best thing in normal summon, since its effect can trigger off of that. You can discard one other monster, special summon this card from your hand. However, if this card is normal or special summon, you can target one machine type monster with 2100 attack or defense and you're going to special summon it. So it gets that recursion even when you normal summon it. It doesn't have to be special summon to gain that ability. And again, like these two, it has low enough attack points to where you can machine dupe it into 2 more Cyber Dragons, 2 actual Cyber Dragons. 2 Galaxy Soldier. Contrary to what you see here, I do believe 3 is the correct number if you have the room for it. I unfortunately do not have the room for it without going over 40 cards, and therefore I chose to keep it at 2.
Yeah, sometimes you got to make those calls.
As a matter of deck building policy, I will very rarely go over 40 cards in the main deck. I want to keep it consistent and be able to see my starters and extenders as often as possible, and not have to have a gap in what I draw. Like, if I was to go like 41, 42, or 43 cards, that reduces my chances of seeing my extenders and starters in my opening hand, and that just doesn't seem right to me. But I very much like Galaxy Soldier at 3. And people are going to make the argument, well, Summon Sorceress is banned. You're going to dead draw the Galaxy Soldier. Well, that may be true, but at least if I search, I can search out a second copy of Galaxy Soldier with the first one. Or if I do open with 2, I have a third one to search out in the deck so I can actually chain block Hurts from being ashed. If I was to just run 2 and not a third copy, and I open with both plus Hurts, I'd have no choice but to leave my Hurts susceptible to being ashed, and that would not be good. Now, again, I could only fit in 2 because, well, I just didn't have the room if I'm going over 40 cards. I couldn't do that. Yugioh, it gets sort of negation, like a pesky negation card. Neteria Beast, Savage Dragon, even Doom King Bardish in Zombies. I think I mispronounced his name, but
yeah, that guy who
you get rid of that card. That's not really that useful though, because you can't really contact away for Fortress if they have Zombie World on the field. But just an example. You get rid of something that can potentially negate your plays.
Right. And there's the gammas, as you mentioned.
Gammas, driver, and crows, as we've mentioned. Well, driver, we kind of have to in order to resolve gamma. It's unfortunate, but it's a risk that you have to take with the card. Triple emergency, very standard, is your reinforcements of the army of the deck. And the kicker is, if they negate the activation of your cyber emergency with Solemn Judgment or some other card like Naturally Beast, you just discard a card, bring it back to your hand, and you can use it again because it's not a hard once per turn. Like, if its activation is negated, you're able to activate a second copy or the same copy again.
Yeah, I remember that's why the card was a little pricey when it first was getting used, because I was like, oh, I can still do stuff even if you negate it. Let's go.
Then we got the triple copies of machine duplication. I actually, in my testing, I cut it down to 2 because I didn't want to reduce the risk of me breaking with it. But I found myself, this is a power card. It is an instant win button for the most part. There's no reason not to run 3. It's not searchable or anything. I do want to see it as often as possible. And we do have, in effect, 9 actual targets for it. Possibly 12 if you count the cyber emergency to search out those targets. 13 if you want to count Foolish Burial, dumping core to summon a target from the deck. And I guess 14 if you want to count Repair Plant. Like if you link away one of your actual cyber dragons, this is live, and then you can just search out a target that way. So we have in effect like 14 targets for the card.
Nice.
This is a big change.
PTSD. I'm tired of getting Lightning Storm, guys. I'm tired of it, man.
Now, I know I have a few people that do keep tabs on my progress with the deck. I've actually talked to a few people who have said, oh, you do run Cyber Dragons really well. I've seen you on Jam 1's video or M. Cole's video or such and such. And I've talked to people. People do keep tabs on me, strangely enough. And they will know that Evenly Matched is one of my all-time favorite cards in the game. Like, most of the time, I do main it. This time, I kind of had to kick it to the side deck because I did want to fit in Lightning Storms here. I just didn't have the room for both.
That makes sense. Because in your last couple profiles, you were main decking it. I mean, obviously, that was also before Lightning Storm was even released, but still interesting there.
If I had the room, I would have probably main decked both, but I just felt that main decking Lightning Storm was better for the meta back then because you clear off back row from Guru, you clear off the back row from Geist, and you still get your battle phase and just go off, clear off the opponent's monster, like destroy the field of heroes. Because I did play a game at locals when I did have evenly main decked, and I tried to evenly their field, and they're like mass change, transform their hero into a Dark Law, and well, that's kind of a bad situation for Cyber Dragons to be. But if I was to Lightning Storm their entire monsters, they'd have to flip mass change, summon the Dark Law in defense to keep it from dying. Actually, I don't even know if mass change summons it in any position. I'm actually not sure if there's a specific position to summon.
Yeah, I think though most of the times they always play him in attack because Dark Law's defense is really like squishy. I think he's like at 18, I believe. It's really weak compared to his attack, so they mostly always play it in attack mode anyway.
So if they like summon in defense position, then you could just special summon Cyber Dragon and run it over.
Yeah.
So that is my train of thought with Lightning Storm. I only had 2 copies at the time, but
big money card. But yeah, it's definitely a blowout, especially in your type of deck that can just end the game like super fast. Like so tired of that card. But yeah, next card is us Overload. Yeah, Overload Fusion.
Another change that people notice is that in my previous list, I played only 1 copy. Not because 2 or 3 was bad, because well, I just didn't have the room for a second copy, but I bumped it up to 2 this time around because I did move the triple evenlies into the side deck, as you'll see here, and I did have 2 Lightning Storms in the main deck, and there was an extra spot, and I said, I'll throw in a second Overload Fusion because it does end game. Like, this gives me another outlet to just destroy spells and trap cards through Rampage Dragon. This plus Seeger is effectively can be an OTK, and if I can open Overload Fusion as often as possible, let me tell you, in this event, that change was very noticeable. Like, I noticed myself winning with Overload Fusion a lot more often.
Nice.
So bumping up to 2, it worked out in the end, and I do stand by my decision on that. Cyberload Fusion, some people like it, some people hate it. I love it. Like the previous 2 deck profiles we did where I did top events, this card won a majority of my matches with Cyber Twin Dragon. It's just a nice finisher.
Mm-hmm.
It's searchable of core. It also recycles your banished Cyber Dragons if the game should go on longer than that. But usually when I do resolve Cyberload Fusion, it's pretty much a game.
Yugioh Shogun.
Another play that people don't realize is that I can actually set this and pass to my opponent, and at their end phase, I can flip it to Fusion Summon the Chimeric Rampage Dragon and pop their back row at their end phase. So this can, in effect, act like a Twin Twisters, a facilitator of Twin Twisters, if you will. But again, this card did win me the majority of my games at this event, like the previous 2 that I've taught. And yeah, Repair Plant still kept it at 1. I did test it out at 2, and it was all right, but I didn't feel it was needed at 2. Again, I have a bunch of targets already. I have 9 mini Cyber Dragons, plus the 3 main ones, and then there's Veer. And all it does is really search out Yugioh or Galaxy Soldier. That's what I mainly use it for. And I don't really need Galaxy Soldier to win, but if I draw into Repair Plant and I have it, then yeah, I can just search out Galaxy Soldier and it's fine. It's not really that big of a deal. So Repair Plant stayed at 1. Rev System, I actually tried Monster Reborn in addition to this during my playtesting. Again, Monster Reborn was all right, but I wanted other cards in there instead, like the second Overload Fusion, and I have a searchable Monster Reborn for Cyber Dragon, so Monster Reborn got cut. Again, didn't make the cut for this build. Foolish Burial, it acts as an extender plus or a starter, depending on the situation. Like, you don't open your Cyber Emergencies, you don't open your Cyber Dragon Core, Hurts, and Nasher. You can just Foolish Burial either Hurts to grab a Cyber Dragon from your deck, or you can Foolish Burial Core to banish it to summon a Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to the field, and possibly make machine duplication plays. So there's that. It was at 1. Triple Impermanence. Some people argued that, well, Valor is cheaper, and yeah, that's the case, but I went with Impermanence because what makes it worth its price tag is that, unlike Valor, you can use it during your own turn, and you can actually, like, if you're standing down a Naturia Beast or something that's in the way, that's
or like a Winda Shadows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Then you just impermanence it and you shut off its effects, and then you can just do your thing.
Also, to add, the other advantage over Valor is that you cannot get called by the grave with that versus the Valor.
And there's also the column negation.
Yeah. The column negation is so clutch.
That actually did happen in the tournament, but I'll get to that when I do.
For sure. And then the last card of the main deck is
Overflow. We sided main deck it last year, back in February, when I top 16 the main regional. But I did main deck it back in November when I top 4 the Denver Colorado regional, and I kept it here. So the reason why I play this is also to facilitate good turn 1 boards, because as we know, it can get quite awkward if I'm forced to go first. But,
yeah, most people catch on and be like, you go first.
But ever since I did start running Gammas and Lambda, I've had a better track record of going first. Like, my ideal opening board will be a Lambda with a Gamma in hand, plus Cyber Dragon Infinity, and Overflow, which is pretty dang good control board.
For sure. You have multiple pop negation with Infinity, and other negation with the Gamma.
Withstanding the fact that, well, they have a Mega Fleet in their extra deck randomly, but that doesn't seem like it was nearly as threatening around the time I competed at the OTS Championship. That wasn't really a thing.
For sure. All right, on to your extra deck.
Cyber Dragon Seeger is standard. It boosts itself or a little light machine type monster with 2100 attack or more. This is actually your main win button over dinos, actually. This is what makes the Cyber Dragon matchup pretty favorable against dinos. If I was to give it a percentage, I would say the Cyber Dragon matchup, well, pre-Echo. I don't know how the Duel dinosaur will impact this, but
For sure.
pre-Echo, I would say it's a 60-40 favor for Cyber Dragons. Their main ways of getting rid of Cyber Dragon Seeger is through the Doggeron, which is the dinosaur kaiju.
Mm-hmm.
Pankratops, which if you can red system Cyber Dragon Seeger, they can't really Pankratops it because that makes it immune to being destroyed by card effects. Or Lost World, which, well, if they have it, they have it. That's really that would suck, but you know.
Yeah, because it decreases non-dinosaurs by 500.
Now, the reason why this is actually powerful against dinos is because their ultimate conductor Tyranno cannot flip it face down.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They can't beat over it because it'll just boost itself. Granted, you do kind of have to beat Conductor Tyranno's Book of Moon effect before you try to link summon it, because if you are in a position where you can link summon it, they haven't used the effect yet, they can just Book of Moon it and, well, can't link for it. And that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
El Mirage, hey, look, a Salamangreat link that's not using Salamangreat. It's actually not using the deck it was intended for.
Yeah, I think everybody's been passing this guy around. Decks he shouldn't be in. I'm talking about you, Eldritch invoked Alistair variants.
Yeah, like Salamangreat have absolutely no reason to play it, but we do, and the reason why is because we can make Repair Plant live literally turn one. This goes back to making our turn one openings not as awkward, because we will be forced to go first. That's an undeniable fact. And in one of my matches in the Swiss rounds, I was made to go first both games.
Gross.
But yeah, you basically normal summon core. You get your search. You can search Repair Plant out, for example. Then you link it off for El Mirage, because that's less than 500 attack. That's normal, or less than
1,000.
And it was normal summon, so you can link it off for El Mirage, which you couldn't do with Linkaribo, because Linkaribo required a level 1 monster, and core is, well, a level too high for that. So you just make it alive. And it provides a quick effect that prevents your monsters from being destroyed by card effects. So basically, if they try to Lightning Storm your Infinity, for example, to beat out its negation, instead of just tribute that to make it immune, and, well, you have a negate. Although I will say that if I do open Infinity plus El Mirage, I will typically, during the standby phase of my opponent's turn, use its effect to tribute off to make Infinity immune. Not necessarily to make it immune, although that's a good plus, but to make it so my opponent can't just Mega Fleet it away.
Yeah, Mega Fleet was clutch in that format.
Gravity Controller. What can I say about this? This is something I did not run back in November because, well, it wasn't out in November.
Yeah, I like Gravity Controller. It's really nice, honestly.
One problem I have noticed with this deck is that sometimes I will have to summon Fortress or Mega Fleet in the EMZ, because remember, this is a Master Rule 4 list. And I will note that this has since been replaced with Verde Anaconda.
Right. Oh, yeah, nice. That's actually a good replacement for it.
But for the purposes of Master Rule 4, you have to summon your Mega Fleet or Fortress in the EMZ. If you don't have a link arrow pointing to the main monster zone, and you want to get rid of it. So Gravity Controller requires a non-link monster in the EMZ to link summon this. And when you do that, you point down to a zone in the main monster zone. You can just do link plays there or extra deck plays. There will be a situation where your opening isn't that great. You're going to have like a Mega Fleet or a Fortress in the EMZ, and you're going to have like Galaxy Soldier in your hand, and you're going to say, well, I would like to XYZ, but I can't really do that because I don't have a zone to open up. Well, Gravity Controller solves that problem. Gets rid of the Mega Fleet, gets rid of the Fortress, whatever's in the EMZ, you summon it. Now you have a main monster zone open for extra deck plays. You Galaxy Soldier away. Get your 2 Galaxy Soldier on the board, XYZ summon, do whatever. I mean, granted, you could probably link away the Fortress or Mega Fleet with Galaxy Soldier into like a Phoenix or Cerberus, but that's not really a powerful play.
Right. Awesome. Also, guys, stay tuned, because one of the things that we are going to talk about is looking at this deck for the new format. So stay tuned so you can pick his mind for that too. But continue on with the next card.
Well, first, it does have additional uses. Granted, none of them really are the purposes of running it. Like, it has a Neospatian Grand Mole-esque effect where it can bounce itself plus a monster in the extra monster zone that the opponent controls, and you can bounce them back to the extra deck. And it's immune to being destroyed by battle by a monster in the main monster zone. It's not really game-breaking, but if it comes in clutch, it does. Like I said, the main purpose is to open up a space in the main monster zone for Galaxy Soldier plays. Lambda. Well, we already explained this. Lambda is your anti-Nibiru card. This came in clutch back in November, and it has come in clutch since then. This also makes going first less awkward because you have additional disruption for your opponent's turn 1 plays, or for their turn 1 plays. Like, you can end on Lambda plus Infinity. Hope that they don't have Mega Fleet in their extra deck, because that would be really bad. But if they don't, then if you have a Gamma in hand, you have that to negate monster effects, and you can save your Infinity for anything else. Or you can like bluff Gamma, but I mean, bluffing really isn't that great in this scenario because the opponent's gonna feel like they have to do something anyway. So if you don't have Gamma, you're kind of screwed either way.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I did get a second effect off. I did get the effect off where if the Psychic is banished at the end phase while it's on the field, I search out another Cypherine. And that has happened a few times at locals. So basically, if I'm going turn 1 and I open get land on the field, I'm able to Gamma their effects. I'll link away the driver. I'll get rid of the driver, keep in the graveyard, and I'll let my Gamma be banished at the end phase so I can search out a second copy. And with driver in the graveyard, that new Gamma is live as well. You don't want to let your driver be banished because then it won't be live unless you're doing something weird like running to driver, which I would highly not recommend. But I did get a second effect off. But again, anti-Nibiru measure makes turn 1 less awkward for you, provides extra disruption. Phoenix is the generic link that I play to pop annoying floodgates, because there will be annoying floodgates. There will be TC Boot, which is their convenient one. There will be Zombie World against zombies, which you want to get rid of for various reasons. And there will be other annoying cards, like Mystic Mind if you can somehow have the chance to pop that with Phoenix. I'm not really sure how you would, because usually...
if they let you do that, then they are being bad. But yeah, it happens sometimes, guys. So what if you ever get one monster on field, like if they had like a lot of monsters, then you get one monster on your field while you have Mystic Mind active? Don't do that, because they will literally condense their field into a Phoenix and then pop your Mystic Mind. So it can't come up. It can't come up.
You can pop Imperial Order, Anti-Spell Fragrance, Lost World, the whole... basically any annoying floodgate that's stopping you.
For sure.
And it has synergy with Sieger for co-linking to get that draw.
Get that spicy draw.
If you link it underneath Sieger, the arrow points out as Sieger points down, so you get that draw. If you put them side to side with Phoenix on one side, pointing to the Cyber Dragon Sieger and vice versa, you get that draw as well. So it's, it has nice synergy. Basically, I'm going to put an example out. Like TC Boo, you can only control one type of monster. So let's say I have an El Mirage on board plus a Cyber Dragon monster of sorts. I can link both those off. They're monsters with different names into Nightmare Phoenix, pop that TC Boo. Get rid of it. Can't do that with the Cyber Dragons because, one, they have the same name while they're on the field, and two, they're both machines, which TC Boo will prevent in the first place.
Right.
2 Nova, 2 Infinity. I played two of each for the grind game. I've tried one like a year ago, and I got stomped by Paleo because I couldn't grind it out. I was missing an Infinity. I'm sure you're happy about that.
Yeah, Froggy's taking the win. No offense to you, but
not taking
Frogs. But okay, so Nova and then Infinity also over that too, so they see Infinity.
I did try Pleiades in the extra deck as well, but it was all right. Still would rather have other stuff.
To Infinity and beyond. Then the next one is his trademark, guys.
My favorite card of all time. Like, I'm not joking. Favorite card in deck? Yes, but favorite card of all time goes to this card as well. it has won me the majority of my games thanks to Cyberlove Fusion. Or you can even get it out from Nova if they gamma the effect of Nova while it's on the field, or they ogre it, which has happened, by the way. That happened at a regional one. I'm like, Nova's effect, try to special summon, they're like, gamma! And then Nova dies, sure, it's effective in the game. And then the graveyard effect activates, and they're like, oh.
Darn it, I thought I had him.
Also, if you try to XYZ summon Nova and they Solemn Strike it, you will get the effect of Nova to summon from the extra deck because it's in your possession, which means extra deck, where have you, rather than control. That's what some people don't realize.
That was that ruling that came up, if you guys remember that vlog from, where was I? Oh, YCS Canada. Yeah, that came up. That ruling came up. So yeah, he's right there. You'll still get it off.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah.
I forgot what it's like to draw my physical cards.
I know, right? I miss you. IRL Yu-Gi-Oh!
2 Rampage Dragon. Also can be summoned off of Nova. Can be summoned off of Cyberlove, though usually I will not be doing that. It's mainly summoned off of Overload Fusion. It's also level 5, so you can also XYZ summon to Nova if necessary, and then go in Infinity. It pops back row at Foolish Burial, Cyber Dragons in the graveyard. It can be used as an extender as well. This is standard. Double Rampage. Double Mega Fleet. Some people are making the argument, which I guess we'll get into it later when we explain why this deck will still be good in Master Rule 5, that Mega Fleet, Cyber Dragons are bad because you can't Mega Fleet away monsters in the EMZ because of Master Rule 5. They're just going to summon stuff in the main monster zone, which is absolutely false because there will still be stuff summoned in the EMZ and left there for your turn, like IP Masquerena or Appaloosa or
for
whatever.
Sure. Yeah, for sure, actually.
Some other Link monster like Evermax. Doesn't matter. It should be left there, and you're going to be able to link it away. And Mega Fleet's not going to lose its usefulness. Granted, you can, depending on the format, you might be able to justify cutting it down to 1, but it's not going to be obsolete. Cyber Dragons are still going to be good. And people have this misconception that Cyber Dragon's main usefulness is to break boards apart from the EMZ. They can also OTK. They can also simplify the game state. They have more purposes than just that. That's a misconception in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. 1 Fortress. I have played 2 before, last year. Didn't find 2 especially necessary in this meta because Sky Strikers weren't really that big of a grindy threat to me. ABCs, I have a very good matchup, and I'm not really worried about Cosmo. I've never faced a Cosmo deck in a while. I don't remember the last time.
Believe it or not, though, I've seen somebody messing around with it a couple weeks ago. I'm like, really? But I don't know. It's Master Rule 5 now, so there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
So yeah, Chimera Fortress Dragon was nice at 1. Again, Jizukiro makes it live. Depending on the meta, I see myself bumping Jizukiro up to 2 and Fortress up to 2 as well. But that's very dependent on the meta.
For sure. All right, and onto the side deck here. What spice we got in here?
I have something to say about my side deck that we're going to get into a little bit later, but starting off, we got Duel and Lockbird. I played 2 copies because 1, space issues, and 2, it's interchangeable to 2 DD Crow depending on the matchup. If there's a matchup that DD Crow is not so great against, such as Pendulums, and that Duel and Lockbird is really amazing against, I can interchange them without having to figure out, what am I going to cut out for the 3rd Duel, or what am I going to side the 3rd DD Crow out for? So I kept the ratios 2 and 2 for that.
That's helpful, yeah.
Kha'zix Cyclone. I tested between this and Twin Twisters in the side deck back in February or March, and I ultimately went with Cosmic Cyclone for the simple purpose of, 1, I don't have to burn a card to pop 2 cards, or potentially 1, as in the case of Twin Twisters. Right. Granted, it only gets rid of 1 card itself, but we have Overflow to potentially pop multiple cards. We have Lightning Storm to pop multiple cards. We have Rampage to do the multiple card popping if I absolutely needed to. So I can live with Cosmic Cyclone only being able to get rid of 1 card.
For sure.
The main reason why I played Kha'zix Cyclone is against Luna Lights and Salamon Great. If you get rid of Tiger before it was banned, it got an effect off. Whereas if you banish a Kha'zix Cyclone, well, it's not going to really do anything.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the same case with Solomon Great. You try to get rid of their Sanctuary, and they have to do some weird play to pop it back to his hand with Falco or something. And if they don't have that, then I guess it's going to get banished. You can also banish their Roar, force it out, banish anything else that they have set. If you do that Twin Twisters, like try to get rid of their Roar, you'd have to burn a card to beat out the Roar, so you go -1. But not the case with Kha'zix Cyclone. You just go -1,000 life points, which is, for this deck, is not really that big of a problem because we're supposed to end games pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah, and then as we're going to talk about too, there's a lot. We're seeing it re-enter the meta today now as well, because it does get rid of a lot of threats with just, like you said, like you're negging less to get rid of threats. So, good card.
Dark Ruler No More.
Speaking of other good cards.
back in the February-March meta, we had Luna Light setting up their board of Lambda plus Time Thief Redoer plus whatever else they want to summon. Or in the case of other decks, to get Appaloosa, IP, whatever on the board. Rockets, to get Borderless Savage. Pendulums, they get like Vortex, Savage Dragon, potentially the Sloth guy. A Morphage Sloth, is that what it's called? I don't know.
Yeah, the one that stops your extra deck plays.
Granted, Dark Ruler No More has the unfortunate side effect of your opponent not taking damage, but it does turn off all their effects. They cannot chain their monster effects to it, to the card directly. The only way out is to like Imperial Order it or chain a Kha'zix Cyclone to it, then chain like Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss to negate it. But they can't actually chain monster effects directly to the Dark Ruler No More. So you shut off their effects, you break their board, get them into a simplified game state, and ideally win the next turn or two. So this is mainly sided against Pendulums, against anything that sets up a big negation board, even Block Dragon Burning Abyss with their Vanity's Fiend, their Naturia Beast, and whatnot. Because that can cause a lot of problems.
And yeah, in today's meta now, Adamanticators. Yeah, which we'll get to that, guys. Don't worry. So, okay, and then this, DDG, Different Dimension Crown.
One of my friends from locals just handed me a set of Ultras randomly out of the blue for no reason. He's like, here you go. And I'm like, okay. But I had them since, and I decided to put them in the side deck. This actually works good going first, and I guess going second in a grindier game. But for going first, I side this against Orcus, against Solomon Great, against Luna Light, Time Thief, whatever. Luna Light, Orcus, whatever you're facing that uses the
graveyard.
Also good against Mermails. And it's great in the mirror match going first because not only can they not get their Curse to the Graveyard for Galaxy Soldier's effect, they can't contact away your own monsters for their own Fortress and Mega Fleet. Because the summoning requirements on Mega Fleet and Fortress are the fusion materials must hit the graveyard. And if you flip different dimension ground during the draw or standby phase, they can't do that. They can't get rid of your infinity. They can't do anything.
Wow, big brain plays there. I didn't even notice that wording there. Interesting.
I guess this also works against dinos to an extent. Not really as helpful, but especially if they get force their giant Rex to be banished, so that could be bad. But it's not completely dead against them. If I don't have anything else to side against them, I guess I'm just going to put that in.
For sure.
But this actually, when we get to my matchups, this card was put in work in a game 3 against Orcus. And that game, I'm going to warn you guys ahead of time, that was a doozy of a game. That was a bizarre game. Dimensional Barrier. The card that actually shouldn't have been in the side deck. And what I mean by actually shouldn't have been is it was I had to put it in last minute because I didn't have a certain card I wanted to play. Now, what you see here, this should have been Heat Waves for going first. This absolutely should have been. But I did not get my Heat Waves in on time. In fact, I didn't get them until yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow.
But the general idea of Heat Wave was to, again, this goes back to being forced to go first. Okay, you want to force me to go first? Fine. Heat Wave. You can't do anything turn 2. So we're going to go right to my second turn, and you're going to have an empty field potentially. I'm going to just OTK you for that.
Nice.
You literally can't summon anything. Okay. I mean, you're going to force me to go first, make my turn awkward. Well, neither of us are going to do anything until my next turn. But
Nice.
didn't get them, so I had to improvise to put D barriers in it instead. There was actually no matchup that day that D barrier would have mattered for, which is unfortunate.
Yikes. Yeah.
I mean, Pendulums did make the finals, which I would have sided that in against, but I got knocked out in the top 4, so I didn't make it to the finals. But
For sure.
other than that, yeah. Triple evenly matched. Everyone knows I love the main deck this, but I cut it out for like 2 Lightning Storms and Overload Fusion and put these in the side. They still put in work in the side. They beat True Draco, which I also will get to. And they do put in work in stuff like Infernoids if they don't have like their Decatron copying a Speller Trap Negator. They do work against Solomon Great if you can beat out the Roar. They do work against Orcus if you aren't phased by the Crescendo, if they don't have like Crescendo at the ready. But and they're somewhat okay versus Altergeist. I think Altergeist players have actually adapted to facing evenly matched. Like a competent Altergeist player will just wait for you to activate their evenly matched so they can chain their trap card, and then after that resolve, get their multi-faker on board. So it's like, oh, they somewhat have a board established still. So
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's great against Guru though.
For sure.
And I will say this is actually really good against Eldish, provided you can bypass their Solemn Judgments and their in-themed counter trap.
Yeah, that's stupid for every card, man. If you guys have been watching my Crush card matches, you know that I talk about how bad of a matchup I have against Eldritch lately. It's really grind. But yeah, evenly he's right. If you can bait them at the right time, it is okay. It's really good. But it's really okay because it depends on what their field is already. But all right, yeah, so let's talk a little bit about some of the most notable matchups that you had that day, and then we'll go and talk about more of what you are doing in Master Rule 5 with this deck currently.
Well, if I can be candid with you, this was actually my best performance yet with the deck. This even surpasses my performance back in November. Every match that I've won, except for one, was a 2-0 victory.
Wow.
It was for the most part straight to the point. I went undefeated in Swiss, went 6-0, won my top 8 match, and lost a very close game in the top 4. For round 1, my poor Sky Striker playing opponent, of all people to face round 1, it had to be me. It had to be a Cyber Dragon player. So both games were pretty simple.
Yeah, that matchup is so free. Like
his opening for turn 1 was on the first game was 2 TC Boo plus a Shizuku. I opened with Lightning Storm, did my Cyber Dragon plays, Machine Duke, OTK, and game 2 wasn't much different. It was a little bit grinder, but he just didn't have the resources available to really fend me off. So that was a 2-0 win. Round 2, he was playing Solomon Great. It was a 2-0 win. Game 1 was grindy. I crowed his Roar, and that like doused his flame. Game 2,
oh yeah, inspired deck.
I just realized that was fun.
That wasn't planned?
No, that was not planned at all. Game 2, I DD crowed his Jaguar. I decided. Now, you see, for game 2, after I won, I did have in mind that he would make me go first, but I also expected him to expect me to expect him to make me go first. So I decided
the mind games.
So I decided both going first and second cards. I decided in Kha'zix Cyclones because going first and second versus Solomon Great, they're actually pretty good. I decided in these going in case he made me go first, and decided in evenly in case he made me go second. So I had pretty much everything at my disposal. I did open my Kha'zix Cyclone. I did have DD Ground, which towards the end I kind of flipped it, and he knew that he really couldn't do much at that point, if I remember correctly. But I did win 2-0 there.
Nice.
Round 3 was Infernoids. It was another 2-0 win. He played mine in it. That was pretty annoying. Game 2 was grindier than the first. I also did Lambda him at one point, gamut him at one point in game 1. He made a misplay though, because when I tried, I'm not sure if I evenly him or if I Lightning Stormed him, but he forgot to flip the Void Feast, and he let it get destroyed. So that was unfortunate for him.
Yikes.
But misplays happen. I mean,
Yeah,
even the
they
best
do.
players do it.
Yeah, I'm king of misplays over here, sadly.
I believe I sided in Kha'zix, DD Grounds, and Evenlays against him. Round 4 was where I won 2-1. This was arguably my hardest win of the day. And this is actually a guy I faced at a regional when I started playing the Cyber Dragons back late 2018. I faced him at a Springfield, Massachusetts regional, or maybe it was a Providence, Rhode Island regional. I'm not sure which one. But he was playing True Draco, and he beat me 2-0 with my Cyber Dragons. He was using the same deck. I was using the same deck, and I managed to win 2-1.
Nice. Rematch.
Game 1, he basically solved everything I could do. I mean, I couldn't really do anything at that point. I scooped it up. Game 2 was actually pretty funny for me. So I made him go first, of course. I sided in the Kha'zix Cyclone in addition to everything else. During my standby phase, he flipped anti-spell fragrance. I chained Kha'zix Cyclone and a Solemn Judgment that. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not really good for me. My other cards in hand was a Cyber Dragon, an Emergency, a Machine Dupe, an Overload Fusion, and a Repair Plan. So I set my 4 spells so I could use them next turn. And I was praying that he did not pop Emergency or Machine Duplication on his turn. So he got the ability to pop a spell or trap card, and he popped my Repair Plan, which was, you know what, that's fine. That was the one I wanted to pop. So then once he did his thing, and once he passed to me, I got my field established because I flipped Emergency, searched out my Cyber Dragon, summoned it, flipped Machine Duplication, and I just went to Rampage and just gamed him, pretty much. Game 3 was grindier. I even lead him. I Lightning Stormed him. I won in the end. I do know I won 2-1, so I got some revenge on him, so to speak.
Grudge match.
Round 5. This is where going first comes into play, where I was forced to go first both games. I faced Lunalight. I don't remember if it was Danger Lunalight. I think it was. I think I remember seeing a Thunderbird at some point.
For sure.
But he made me go. He knew what I was playing. I lost a die roll, so he forced me to go first, and my opening was basically Lambda plus Gamma in hand plus Infinity plus an Overflow set. And I knew, I learned from my lesson a few times not to shotgun the Overflow, only use it when necessary. He kind of forced my hand into using it because after he got rid of my disruption, he forced me to use it by trying to pop a Phoenix. I don't think he knew that was an Overflow. I don't believe I searched it up.
Mouse over Overflow again, too, just so people remember what it does if you aren't an avid Cyber Dragon.
I don't believe I searched it out. I think I opened with it. And so he attempted to pop a Phoenix. I chained Overflow, banished to pop his Phoenix, and I got the additional effect. Because with Overflow, it was destroyed by a card effect. You can add a Cyber Spell or Trap card from your deck to your hand. And as you know, as most veterans of the game know, cards do not go to the graveyard until the chain resolves. So in the midst of the chain, Overflow got popped by Phoenix and got sent to the graveyard by that card effect. And I was able to get my search while getting rid of his Phoenix for more potential Link fodder. That also happened in Game 2. Except he did that with a Tornado Dragon instead. But, I actually don't know if I searched out Overflow that game either. But I hope I didn't open with it because that would make my win entirely up to luck. But both established fields were Overflow, Infinity, Lambda with Gamma in hand, and well, he can really do much.
Nice.
Round 6 was Orcus. I won that one 2-0. Game 1 was actually pretty interesting. It was grindy, and I won in the end. I don't remember how. I think it was like Rampage Dragon plus Caesar.
Nice.
Game 2 was incredibly awkward. I cited different dimension grounds. I think I cited Kha'zix Cyclone. Actually, I know I cited Kha'zix Cyclones against them. Maybe evenly matches. I'm not sure if I did those, but I definitely did the DD grounds, and
for sure.
I opened with 2, no starters though, no monsters really. His opening was his hand traps, no extenders, no starters. He opened his crows, his ashes, and maybe it was an Orcus return. I'm not really sure what he opened with. He forced me to go first. So basically it was a grindy game. Towards the end, I did draw into the Veer. I had Veer on board. I think I also kaiju'd over his set monster, which was an Ash, because I didn't want to risk attacking into it.
You know your opponent don't got nothing when they start setting their hand traps.
So I kaiju'd over it, then I made Fortress, and I basically swung at him. He did monster reborn my kaiju and punched over my Fortress. That was unfortunate. And I did, but also drew into something that allowed me to establish a board. I think I Infinitied and sucked up the kaiju and then had control there. And then on his turn, I flipped DD ground, and that was, well, what could he do, really? So I won 2-0 there. Mm-hmm. Top 8 was zombies.
Interesting. Yeah, zombie decks were seeing a lot of success before this new master rule and then before Eldritch. So it's interesting that the new Eldritch can splash some zombie stuff into it and make it even better. So, but yeah, talk about this matchup because zombies were actually doing something a little bit before pre-Master Rule 5.
This was a difficult matchup, not in the gameplay aspect of it, more of a ethical dilemma I had. You see, going to this event, I already had my invite. I earned it back in November 2019 in Denver, Colorado. My opponent barely got into the final seed of the top 8, got into the 8th place seed, and me being undefeated in Swiss was in the 1st place seed, so we ended up facing each other. He didn't have his invite already, and I could have given him the win, I suppose, but then there was a risk of me possibly being suspended for collusion.
Yeah.
If it was suspected. And I had a dilemma. On one hand, would it really have killed me to give him the win? I mean, I already had my invite at that point. But on the other hand, as a competitive player, I was obligated to do my best against him.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. And to be honest, too, it's just like, I don't know. I've seen this multiple times at regionals. People, they'll sit down and they'll be like, you got your invite yet? And then they just like start like, oh, you already got it. You want to just give me the win? It's just like, no, man, you got to earn it. Ethically, right.
He didn't ask me that during the game. He did ask me that. We were talking because we didn't even know we were going to face each other. He was like, oh, how are you doing this time? I'm like, I'm undefeated. I'm probably going to have 1st place seed. And how are you doing? He's like, I'm X2, I think. And it was up to tiebreakers if we got top 8. It's like, you already have your invite. I wanted to lie to him and say I didn't.
Right.
I didn't want to feel pressured to give him the win.
Yeah.
But there was people there that knew me, that knew I already had my invite. So if I said, no, I didn't, they could just say, yeah, you do. What are you talking about? So I would have been caught in a lie. So I was truthful. Unfortunately, I 2-0'd him. It was actually really easy, unfortunately, because I drew the right stuff. Like,
yikes.
I drew the Lightning Storms to get rid of his Zombie World and set card, game 1.
Yikes.
And I just had the overflow for game 2 to get rid of stuff. So, unfortunately, for him, I had an obligation to fulfill.
For sure. I mean, and honestly, I think that it's more respect to the person that will just like play it out, because it's like, earn it, guys. Don't just be giving stuff away. But also, like you mentioned about the collusion thing, this actually in Konami's rules, if you guys didn't know this, if you give away it's like bribery, collusion, whatever. It's politics involved, and basically you can get in a lot of trouble if you were just like giving people wins, like and they didn't actually play out the game. So don't do it. It's bad. Just it's not worth it, guys.
I was not looking at suspended from this game
for sure. And then so that's the top. So the next one was your last match, right?
Was against Dinos, where Heat Waves would have came in lovely. Yes, yeah. Heat Waves would have worked. The only thing I could really side against them were ruling no mores and drolls. But if I had the Heat Waves, I would have sided that against them for going first. Game 1, I OTK'd him with Cyber Twin. I did my usual Cyberload Fusion stuff. Game 2, he got me. I mean, his Liftogasm, I think it's called, whatever.
The Earth True King.
I got rid of my Siege, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, because they can look into your extra deck and just rip out 3 cards, which is annoying. So any one of those, say bye-bye to those.
I was like, ooh, that's not good. I don't know why I wasn't able to make Siege or turn 1, because he made me go first. I guess maybe it stopped me from establishing a field with a hand trap or something. I don't really remember the exact circumstances. Or maybe I did make Yugioh just popped out with Pinker Tops too. That could have been the case. Either way, I didn't win that game. I almost won game 3 though, and towards the end, while I impermanent him, he unknowingly activated double evolution kill in that same call. But I didn't towards the end have control of him over Seizure. There was no Lost World. I believe he already uses Pinker Tops. Pretty sure Pinker Tops was at 1 at that time. So unless he was able to revive it, he couldn't really do much with it. So I passed to him, and he top decked the Kaiju.
Oh no.
Well,
Moment there. Sometimes they just get the answers, guys. It happens.
He had it. I mean, that was whatever. It happened. So I wasn't really mad about that. I mean, it happened. It's not like I scooped immediately after. Like I would lightning storm his board and hope that I drew into something useful. But towards the end there, my last draw was Machine Duel. I'm like, oh, I can't even do anything with this. I can't get a monster out to do. Actually, I think I already used all my Cyber Dragons already, so the Machine Dupe was literally dead.
Jeez.
It was Galaxy Soldier followed by Machine Dupe that I drew into. I'm like, yeah, I'm not winning this one. So I got knocked out in the top 4, and for all intents and purposes, I believe it could be considered third place considering my tiebreakers in the Swiss rounds.
Right. Awesome. Wow. So now here's the question that I'm sure everybody has, and you're a good person to ask this question because we've seen you doing pretty well with this deck. Is this still playable in Master Rule 5, even though you just kind of alluded to it earlier that it still is? And if you are going to say yes, how have you evolved this deck currently with given April's new Master Rule?
The question everyone is wondering is, are Cyber Dragons playable in Master Rule 5? My answer to that question is emphatically yes, they are. The game plan somewhat changed, and while we don't really get to contact the Wailer monsters as much from the EMZ, like if you're facing a Thunder Dragons, well, they can stick their Titan immediately in the main monster zone, so they can't really contact it away. But there's still going to be stuff like Appaloosa, there's still going to be IP Masquerena, other Link monsters that you're going to leave that are good for your opponent's turn in their Link Karibo, for example. Who knows what else they're going to come up with?
Right, because regardless of the new shift in the Master Rule, Links have to follow Master Rule 4. So if you have any Link monsters in your deck, guys, you're forced to put them in those zones. So, yeah.
But yeah, you won't build a Mega Fleet like a Thunder Dragon Titan away or a Borderless Savage that you normally see in the EMZ. No, they can stick that in the main monster zone without Link arrows. So, but there's still going to be Appaloosa. There's still going to be like Lambda. There's still going to be IP Masquerena. There's still going to be all that stuff. So Mega Fleet is not obsolete. Now, what we do get from the Master Rule 5 is that we can actually make Infinity on or before the 5th summon. So we don't have to worry about Nibiru interrupting us. Like, I can get 2 Galaxy Soldiers out, overlay into a Nova, bring back a Cyber Dragon, that's 4 summons, then go into Infinity, and that's 5 right there. They try Nibiru, I can just Infinity away. I don't need a Link arrow to summon my Infinity to the main monster zone. I can summon it right there as I please, immediately if I wanted to. No need for El Mirage's arrow to point down, although El Mirage will still be used. We don't need that. That will be taken out for Anaconda, because, again, the main point of Gravity Controller was to get rid of the dead Mega Fleet or Fortress in the EMZ, but now we don't have to summon them to the EMZ immediately. They just go right to the main monster zone. So Gravity Controller is no longer needed in this deck. But the board breaking is still going to be there. The OTK is still going to be there. Some people will drop the deck if they don't really want to try to apply themselves to it, and that's very well fine. But if you're dedicated enough to the deck and you're competent with the deck, you can make it work in this Master Rule 5.
For sure. And also, too, with given that as well, so I'm just looking here at, like, you went through the whole list now, but even your side deck has a lot of strength against, like, what people are playing right now. As we're filming this, I mean, the meta is changing and evolving rapidly, but Secret Slayers just came out, like, a couple weeks ago, and technically Eternity Code is also, like, in the States here is not out, but in Europe they have it. So a lot of people have been circulating the cards. So yeah, your side deck looks like it actually does some good things against like the Eldritch matchup in the Emancipator Rock deck as well. Have you been playing, and how do you think those matchups are going for you? And what do you think are some good strengths that you have against those?
Well, I have not been playing solely focused IRL, like I do in person. I will play test online when I'm preparing for an event, but overall, I do not actually play in tournaments. That being said, I do still keep tabs on the meta. I do still occasionally watch the online tournaments. I do study the cards, and well, the dimensional barriers are being cut out for our heat waves. I finally got my heat waves. Heat waves will definitely be put in place here. I want to find a way to bump the Dark Ruler no more up to 3, actually, if Emancipator.
3, yeah, because Emancipator boards, like, they fold to that card. Like,
I definitely want to bump it up. Droll Lockbird, I don't know if it's that useful right now. So
I've seen some lists that have used it. It's okay. It's not like, to me, this is my opinion, but anybody in the comments can say what they want, but I think it's okay against like everything, because there's just like a lot of decks going around, and I don't think it has enough application on around all of them. It's my take on it. Last format, though, it was amazing against, of course, we know Spiral, but yeah, I don't know.
Also would like to bump that up to 3.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Cosmic to 3, because he's an Eldritch, the stupid golden zombie guy. Yeah, once you hit them with Cosmics, they literally lose that card, because the recursion of the card, they need to be in graveyard. But if you banish it, it's gone, right? So
for another fun, spicy side deck tech I might consider trying out, if events start up again before Eldritch get power creep, is I might try Zaphion the Time Lord to combat Eldritch.
Yes, so you guys are going to see, I have been trying that card out. It's actually pretty good. You guys are going to see it in work. In one of the feature matches that I am in CMO's Crush Cup, you guys are going to see me use that card. So
really?
I like it, yeah. Spoilers if this video hasn't aired before then, and I'll probably link it somewhere in the description so you guys can see that match. But yeah.
It's water, too.
It has synergy in my deck as well. It's clutch. A lot of people aren't thinking about it, but I always hold like cards that are good in formats. That's one of my tech side deck cards that I've had a long time ago. Yeah, you guys will see. You'll see. It's a nice duel. But
Zaphion will just blow away their back row back to their deck.
Yeah, Zaphion says shuffle everything. It's like Heavy Storm, but then like they're not going to the graveyard. It shuffles it back into their deck. One other question I guess I'll have to follow up with the Master Rule 5 question is, so with Eternity Code coming out, or out, whatever, how we want to say it, because like I said, we got it delayed here in the States, but are there any cards in there that you think will be good to put into this new Cyber Dragon build that you're going to come up with, or have you not looked at enough to know whether or not you're going to try any of those new cards out?
If I could be kid, I don't believe there's anything I actually need from that set to put in this deck. I think the list right now is fine as is. Maybe there's some funky tech I could try out, and I very well could. I'm mostly looking towards Return of the Duelist, or whatever that new set is called.
Yeah, the one after the main set, after the one that's currently that we're talking about, the Eternity Code. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
My eyes are more intent on a certain card called Blizzard, as you have it. Basically, called by the grave for spell cards, if you will.
Yeah, I read about that one.
And not to mention that broken anti-effect monster card, where if your opponent activates an effect monster's effect, you can activate that card and you either draw 2, rip a card from their hand, or take one of their monsters.
Yeah, that card's going to be stupid, busted, and probably really expensive.
That's what I'm looking more towards incorporating in my deck. But other than that, the list is going to remain relatively the same. I mean, I might swap Evenleaves with Lightning Storms for the main deck if the events start back up and I see Eldritch as being too much of a problem. But we also have DD Crows to handle Eldritch, so there's that. Depending on the meta, might bump Kaiju up to 2. That's always a possibility. I actually might take out the DD Grounds to make room for like a 3rd Cosmic and a 3rd Dark Ruler no more. Possibly put a red reboot in the side for the Eldritch matchup as well.
For sure. Yeah, that's even though it's a one of that card is such a blowout card against trap dot decks.
Well, overall, I will continuously study and keep tabs on the meta, all the new card releases, and I will adapt my deck as needed.
Oh yeah, and that's the way you got to do it, guys. If you want to stay competitive in this game, you just should always be constantly evolving your strategies as newer strategies come out. How do you counter them, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure that you stick tuned. There will be a playlist or some sort of something. Just click on the next video, and yeah, is there anything you want to say, James?
I'm very proud of my deck. I'll be very candid. I think I did the best I could that day. I made no notable misplays. I don't believe I made a misplay at all. I think I played my absolute hardest, and I worked with what I had, and got me undefeated in Swiss, got me to top 4, and winning the tournament wasn't meant to be, but that's just the way it goes.
Stay tuned, guys, because as we get back to real life Yu-Gi-Oh, we will see him again, I'm sure.